It's the dog days of summer. It's the middle of August, and it's been a hot one. There isn't a whole lot going on in the music production field in the summer. I've noticed there's a bit of a lull. Most of the vendors have big sales, but they're selling stuff that isn't new. They're selling stuff that's been around for the last year. And it got me thinking, what is there to get really excited about in the music field at this point in time? So let's discuss it. You know, at certain times of year, you start to reflect on all the investments you've made in music production. If you've got a home studio, you've been buying gear, and you look at some of the components and think, you know, MIDI controllers, they haven't changed very much. They're pretty much the same. They come in lots of different flavors, but basically they do the exact same thing, and there hasn't been any breakthrough there. And it's the same with audio interfaces. You know, there's some really good quality material out there, some great products to buy, but there hasn't been like a breakthrough, something to get you really excited. And I was wondering, you know, what's going on? Is it that the manufacturers of this equipment kind of take a break in the summer? There's a bit of a lull, and you can't explain why there's really nothing new. I mean, there's some new software, and there's some new plugins, and there's some new virtual instruments, and maybe a new synth or two, but it's more of what you've already seen. What is the next big game changer? So I was doing a little research, and one of the things I came across was TONEX by IK Multimedia. Now, a lot of guitar players have been looking at different devices in order to get the ultimate tone without having to buy dozens of guitar amps and speaker cabinets. There's the U80 aux, there's the Helix system, there's many to choose from. And then there's a whole other field of amp simulations from companies like Amplitude and Native Instruments with Guitar Rig. But I think this TONEX solution, which isn't out yet, but is on the verge of being released, might just be that game changer we've been waiting for.
The only clues we have as to how this works are a few videos that have been released by IK Multimedia, and they're marketing this as a complete system for your guitar, where you'll have access to amps, pedals, cabinets, and they call one of the components machine modeling, and this is the piece that's server-side, where they have a network of tones that have been pre-recorded and you can download them. And if you don't want to use their downloaded tones, you can record your own amplifier and send that model up to their tone network, and it will be classified and available for you to use in the future. Now, one of the things that gets you is access to professionally recorded tone maps that have been done by the vendor, and that could be extremely powerful. The fact that it runs on Mac and PC as well as on an iOS device is pretty neat. It's very handy if you're doing live concerts. You don't have to take any amps or cabinets with you. So it's a complete system made of 3 components, really. One of the important parts is a piece of hardware used to capture your guitar tone, and that is an attenuator reamplification type circuit that you can buy. The rest of the details are scattered around their website. There's some videos you can watch, and there's this map that sort of shows you where the TONEX Capture device would sit in your rig setup. Now, as I mentioned, there's a player, an editor, and the TONEX network. And at the moment, you can see their pricing if you pre-order. And it's based basically on how many tone maps you want to have access to. So you're buying not just the system, but you're buying their network. There is a video with an example of how you would capture the tone of your amp and how that works with their system. And of course, they use an example of a an amp that's quite famous, being used by Joe Bonamassa or Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day. And they go to lengths to explain, it's a certain speaker, it's a certain amp, it's set up a certain way. And once it's all set up for that unique tone, you go through this series of steps, which they've laid out. You can see it here in the video. There's about 8 steps described. You obviously mic up your amp, depending on the mics and gear that you have, and you play, and you basically record what the amp sounds like. And then there's a feature within the Capture utility that goes through some training process. Obviously it's going to depend on you getting the right mics and the right level. And once you finish that capture, you're uploading that capture to the TONENet network. And then server side, there's some processing that takes place to create the tone map that you're going to have for the future. And that takes a while, and when it's done, you download that, and then they give you this little comparison where you can compare, okay, what does it sound like with the IK Multimedia tone map versus my amp directly. You can flip back and forth until you're happy with the results. Once you categorize your tone map, you give it all these descriptors, and you can pick an image that's going to represent what it looks like, and it's available for you to use going forward.
Some people are calling TONEX a Kemper Killer, but I don't think it's a Kemper Killer. I just like saying Kemper Killer. Really, TONEX is a different architecture. The Kemper is more of a sampler, and it's an all-inclusive single unit that does everything. Plus, it's very expensive. The TONEX solution is much better priced. It's going to be available to a lot more guitar players, and it should gain a lot of momentum. I think what's unique about it is that it's connected to the internet. It's using server-side artificial intelligence to come up with those tone maps that make it unique. Is it a game changer? If you think so, put some comments below and let me know why. I'm going to be keeping my eye on IK Multimedia. It's a good company with some good products. I've always liked their mix box effects, and I've used it both on iOS and Mac OS. If this is the kind of content that you're interested in, click on the subscribe button, click on like, and let me know that this is interesting to you.